Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I thought we'd do something slightly different. I thought we'd just sit down, have a little chat. I'm going to make a coffee whilst making this video to distract myself, as well as the fact that it is now about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm in dire need of a coffee. So I put out a sticker on my Instagram asking for you guys to submit questions to me. I've also just collected a few other questions that I've had sort of piling up that I just wanted to address. A lot of them are very sort of general questions, so they may need their own individual videos, but I'll do my best to answer them today for you. So I'm going to be using my new AeroPress, so let's get all these bits together. And the first question that I've got written down is, what is my favourite coffee? At the moment, my favourite coffee is I get it from a local coffee shop, and they stock Round Hill Roastery coffee. And this is a really nice Colombian coffee. They grind it for me there because I don't have a grinder at home. So it just stays in their little airtight bag. And yeah, I just really like this coffee. They've just updated their packaging as well. And I really, really love this. I love this sort of like topographical sort of design that they've got going on. Yeah, very nice coffee, pretty affordable as well, which is nice. And they're like an independent coffee shop, so I don't want to be going around buying Starbucks coffee because Starbucks coffee isn't that good. And, you know, in these trying times, you've got to support smaller businesses. So also, don't get mad at me for using volumetric measurements because I know quite a few of my subscribers are also James Hoffmann fans. So forgive me for doing this, but also I've made this look as difficult as possible. So yeah, favourite coffee, Round Hill Roastery. This is the I'm gonna butcher this, La Claudinota. Yeah, little Colombian brew, really, really nice stuff. So the next question is, what is my favourite bit of kit currently? As you may know, I have just switched systems completely from my old system, which was a Nikon full frame camera, to the Fujifilm X-H1, which is very exciting. I really enjoy using this camera system. I have used Fujifilm in the past. I used their X100F, which was an excellent little camera. I really enjoyed using that, and I think that, their ethos as a company is really, really good. I enjoy what they're doing at the moment, especially with regards to diversity. I think that's super important for any company to be doing right now. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying their 35mm f2. I got this because I wanted the equivalent of a 50mm. This is about a 56mm, I believe. And I really like this because, I've completely butchered this, I'm very sorry. I really like this lens. I think it's a really high quality lens. It's very affordable as well, which is good. And yeah, it's a very good bit of kit. I'll put up some sample images that I've taken with this lens. Yeah, 35mm f2, excellent bit of kit. Have you seen any evolution of your own work, be it client or personal? I would say that my client work has obviously, the quality has increased since day one. And obviously my personal work has obviously increased the quality and the depth at which I do things, how much I think about things has obviously increased. I really have enjoyed sort of delving deep into like color science and color theory and deconstructing images, and that, like I said in one of my previous videos, that has come with doing a degree in photography and having that like academic approach to it. I think it's really important to be able to do that, and I think to progress as a photographer you should be able to look at your own work and look at other people's work, and try and find what you like, what you dislike, how you can improve. So yeah, evolution of my own work. Not necessarily in terms of the type of images I'm enjoying taking at the moment. I'm definitely enjoying the sort of more observational approach to street photography. I really am trying to sort of focus more on smaller details, as well as how people work within their environment. So yeah, so I'd say the quality of my work has definitely increased. I mean, if you don't look back at your old work and feel a little bit ill, then you haven't improved. And then, yeah, I would say that the type of work I'm doing hasn't changed drastically, but the way I'm approaching it has. Do you ever get any aggro from people you photograph on the street? Generally, no. I've had a couple of people sort of be like, what are you doing? But then I I'm just concentrating because I don't want to spill this everywhere. But then I just sort of show them the back of the camera and I say that, you know, I'm a street photographer, I live in London, so I'm not some weirdo. Although I guess you could argue anybody who wants to live in London is a bit of a weirdo. But with regards to people getting aggravated with me, only a handful of times, I'm going to show you a little trick. And I did talk about this in one of my Street Journals episodes. I think it was the shooting film one. This camera hasn't got a lens on it, obviously, so apologies for that. What I do when I'm photographing people on the street is I don't make eye contact with them. So if you sort of look closely at my eyes, if I want to photograph, let's say you're the camera, I will look sort of over the top of you like this. So I'm no longer looking down the lens. It looks a little bit weird. So immediately that like line of sight is broken. And then I'll lift up my camera, and as I'm doing that, I'll make eye contact with them. So obviously I can then sort of recompose a little bit. So take the snap, look down, and then I'm not looking at them again. I'm still looking past them, past the subject, because then the moment I look back at you, it's like, oh, you just took a picture of me. So that's quite a little sneaky way of doing it. Generally, if you're photographing in London, nobody cares. I think there's so much going on. There's so many people taking pictures, and people can get concerned about their privacy, but there's so many security cameras around. There's so many people taking snaps of your day-to-day. If you're walking around in Trafalgar Square, expect to get photographed. I don't even know how many times I've been photographed without my knowing, mainly from tourists and potentially other street photographers. So yeah, I don't know if I'm that interesting to photograph as a street photographer, but you never know. That's the point, you never know. Have you noticed any lockdown photography trends? Trends is a weird word to use in this situation. Trends is definitely something that, you know, a trend is by definition something that comes along and then sort of disappears as quickly as it came along. I feel like with what's happened, it's been such a monumental experience for everybody that trends that have developed during lockdown are probably here to stay a little bit longer than previous trends. I would say that the one, I'm not going to call it a trend, I'm going to call it a, what's the best word to use? Something that people have maybe developed on as, you know, as a consequence of lockdown and everything that's going on. I would say that people are looking more critically at their own work, and also I especially have been taking the time to appreciate the smaller details in the day-to-day life. I'm now back working full-time, so I'm not doing it as much, but for instance, when I got back to my flat, I spent a little bit of time walking around just photographing the things I had missed out on previously, the little cracks, the little blemishes, the sort of afternoon light that would come in, and yeah, just sort of little things like that. I think a lot of people have been confined to their own space and have had to think a little bit more critically and analytically of their own environment. And I think that's a really good thing. It's a really good way to develop as a photographer. It's to take your environment and make it work for you. This is a big question. The best way to format a photography website. I would say by far the best way to format, not any website, because obviously different websites have different purposes, but for a photography website, if you're displaying work, if it's a portfolio, I would definitely say simplicity is key. I'm not just saying that coming from a minimalist standpoint, I'm saying that from an audience standpoint. I don't want to be distracted with your awards and where you've been published. I don't really, I do care, but I don't want it to overshadow your imagery. As somebody who takes a lot of time to look at photography websites, I have people messaging me quite regularly because of my Squarespace websites, because of my Squarespace website videos that I've made, to look at their websites, to offer feedback, which I really appreciate. I think that's incredible, and I'm really glad that I've been able to help a few people with that. A lot of people fall into the trap of writing their life story in their about section rather than showing the imagery that they've spent years and years and years working on. Because as a photographer, whether you like it or not, people want to see your photos. Your personality is important, hence why I started a YouTube channel, because I wanted people to understand who I was. But in terms of a website, when people want to look at your photos, they want to look at your photos. They don't want to be reading where you've been published, how many awards you've got, where you've been featured on Instagram, your life story, when you first picked up a camera. I've done all of these things, and it's taken time to acknowledge that that's not what people want to look at. People want to look at your pictures. So simplicity is key. Keep it minimal, keep it clean. A I'm not going to toot my own horn and say take a look at my website, but it is a good example, I would say, and it works for me. You know, all personal preference. And finally, how long have we got left? 2 minutes. And finally, what direction do you want your YouTube channel to go in? This is another pretty big question. I would say for me, the YouTube channel itself has taken a bit of a slowdown because of everything that's going on. I did have some pretty big plans to get a crew, like a sort of, not a permanent crew, but like a couple of people on board to help me film street journals. And not just street journals that I'm making about my own photography, but street journals of other people. It is really, really tough to go out and film a video entirely by yourself. When I filmed with Nico, we were filming each other and Sophia was helping me. That was Street Journals episode 10. And I love doing that because the moment somebody else is taking the video away from you, you can be yourself. If you know them well, you can sort of mess about. You can do the normal things that you would do around that person. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, all these thoughts go around in your head. So there were times where I wanted to build out a crew, but I've had to really scale it back. So those plans maybe will come to fruition at some point. But for now, just making street journals on my own. I have actually had an idea I just literally got a new phone. This is the first new phone that I've bought in 4 years, at least 4 years. And it's an iPhone 11 and it's got a pretty good camera on it. So I did want to potentially do a video where I try and take pictures and produce a Street Journals episode entirely on a phone. I think that'd be quite a cool little challenge. So if you want to see that, then let me know in the comments below. So videos like that, more chilled out. I'm trying really hard to relax as a videographer, hence why I'm sitting down making a cup of coffee today. Because I do get quite up in my head about making videos. And I don't know why, because I'm generally quite a chilled out individual, but when it comes to setting up a tripod, setting up a camera, etc., it does get a little bit stressful, and if things don't go right, then it's a bit annoying. For those of you interested, I'm just trying out this new technique where I treat the AeroPress like a drip coffee. It's producing pretty nice results. I do quite like it. I didn't want to have to invest in the whole V60 thing where you have to get the dripper, you have to get papers, you have to get the special pouring kettle, which probably would have alleviated a lot of the mess that I've made today. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the AeroPress. It's good. It's a good little bit of kit. That might be my second favorite bit of kit that I've bought recently. Anyway, back to the YouTube channel. If there's anything that you, the viewer, want to see, if there's any ideas you have for videos, if there's anything that you would find helpful or educational, that was pretty much the whole point of starting a YouTube channel, was to get into the education space, try and answer people's questions, develop as I go along, and as this channel grows, develop as a photographer, a videographer. And now that I'm working full time, I feel like I have a bit of space to think about how I want to take this YouTube channel. It's never been also, I struggle so much at saying YouTube channel. I don't feel like my mouth was designed to say YouTube. It's almost like I'm saying YouTube. YouTube. Anyway, I've gone on a massive tangent. The whole point of me starting a YouTube channel was to get into educating and helping people. And I started it a couple of years ago, a few years ago in fact. And yeah, it's come a long way since then. We've recently passed 700 subs, which I know isn't a huge number, but I'm incredibly grateful for everybody. I'm looking forward to growing this channel more. I'm looking forward to seeing what videos come into fruition, how this audience grows. You know, the phrase 1,000 true fans comes to mind. You know, definitely not a Peter McKinnon kind of personality by any stretch. So we'll see. We'll see where the channel goes. But again, thank you very much for all of you who have subscribed so far and are active on the channel. I do see you, I do recognize you, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everybody who leaves a comment, sends me a message on Instagram, shares my work. It's really, really helpful. So thank you. So I think that's going to wrap up the Q&A video. Thank you very much for watching this one. I've now got a delicious cup of coffee that I'm going to enjoy. I just realized that it's actually 12:30, not 2 o'clock, hence why this is very much so needed. So be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm at samvholt. Be sure to check out my website. Like I said earlier, it's a really good sort of resource if you're looking for inspiration on how to develop your own website and how to lay out your photography. I also have a podcast as well called Conversations Over Coffee. There's 5 episodes available at the moment. The last one was with a fantastic street photographer called Bobby Austin. I'll leave a link to that podcast in the description below. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video.